Welcome to the Colorado Real Estate Leaders Podcast, brought to you by Trailstone Insurance Group, bringing you interviews with Colorado's best real estate and mortgage professionals, empowering you to understand the current trends in the housing market so you can make the American dream your reality. Enjoy today's episode.
Well, it's a great day in Colorado, and welcome to the Colorado Real Estate Leaders Podcast. Today we have with us Jessica Armstrong, who's the owner and creator of TCCREATED. Jessica, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you, Mike.
Hey, you are welcome. Looking forward to talking with you, learning from you, and picking up some industry knowledge that you have. Get us started first with your story. What is your background, and how did you get into the real estate industry and start your own business?
Sure. My major is in marketing and business, so I always had this passion to create businesses that could contribute to others' happiness and success. So that was always on my mind. And when I was getting a little frustrated after college, not really finding my way there, I decided to make a change, and I moved to Colorado, and then eventually began working as a TC for a real estate brokerage, received my real estate license, and really just dove into learning the process of what a transaction coordinator does for agents, what they need, even listening to what they really need from a TC. And I started communicating with some other independent TCs that had their own business, and I started crafting mine with really focusing on what agents' needs were, so that we could create something that was really special and really could add value to their business.
So one word with voice inflection that I just heard that I think I want to kind of go deeper on. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you said something to the effect of what agents really need. What that tells me is like, oh yeah, I need someone to do X, Y, Z, this and that. But when you start going and digging below the surface, it's like what they really need is someone who. And when you mention that, they're like, yes, I didn't even know to think about that, but yes, we need those things. So talk a little bit about when you were doing your, and maybe even constantly when you're conversing with your clients and you start noticing like, okay, of course we need to do these things. That's obvious, but what are the bigger, deeper things? So is that something that you're constantly iterating and watching to serve and provide deeper value?
Yes, absolutely. And it's really part of our business plan is to make sure that we're always able to adapt and learn and hear what's maybe changing or especially how transactions and just the process around them have changed over the years. And even so much recently. So we typically find agents come to us maybe because they just feel overwhelmed with the transaction work and they feel like they're going to miss deadlines, and they usually come to us for things like that. And then they start realizing after working with us that, we really take on a lot, and we provide this communication to everybody involved in the transaction, including their clients, that creates this really good, seamless communication and really helps us move the transaction along and really takes a lot off their plate as they get a lot of emails all the time. They don't have to worry that we're missing any of that, and that we can jump in and help facilitate any things that come up from title, lenders, the clients. And because of the education that we have, being licensed real estate agents and doing our continuing education, we're able to support them even more in that way and be that extra set of eyes on everything that they do during the process.
Yeah, you mentioned the real estate license and all, and I think that leads us. You had mentioned, a quality transaction coordinator versus just maybe a TC or a transaction coordinator that's at a company that's not licensed. What is the difference, and what does that do for the real estate agent, their life and their process, and for the client?
Yeah, for me, I think it's really important that we know the ins and out of transactions, the contracts, the process, the laws. Like, we really absolutely have to have all of that knowledge up front in order to do our jobs the most efficient way that we can. So all of my TCs that work on my team, including myself, we're all licensed for really the educational purposes. And we take our ACUs right up at the beginning of the year so that we're updated on that quickly, and we're able to help our agents that we work with to make sure they make any updates that they need to based on what we learn from there. So being able to provide some extra education in that way, take initiative, be able to share some insight when their clients might be lost on disclosures, things like that.
So you're kind of filling that gap for that real estate agent, if I'm putting them in different words, I guess, where
right.
maybe they're not communicating so well or educating so well, and you're serving the client in that capacity, maybe helping them understand what's actually happening throughout the process, rather than just, we're buying it for this price.
Right. We're really experts on the transaction process, and we pretty much know everything that needs to be known about compliance to an extreme. So we're very available when it comes to agents having any questions about it, or just maybe saying, hey, you have this box checked here. Just letting you know, though, that looking at the rest of the contract, you may want to reconsider, just things like that. So that we can always be providing that extra care, and that clients also feel extra supported, and that they feel like their questions are getting answered. We don't want the agent to feel like they have to be ready to answer every email during a transaction all the time, because we're there to do that all during the day.
Jessica, made me think of something. You know how we all are wired to get the biggest and best and the cheapest possible price, and if this company can do this, that's all great, but I can probably get it over here better, cheaper, faster, whatever. Well, probably if we were to look at the 2 or 3 page bullet point list of all the tasks that you guys do, many of them could be done by a $6 an hour VA. But I would suspect, and this is the question, where does when you're serving and providing value to your real estate agents, how do you articulate the fact that, sure, there's people that can do this item and this item, but when you have a trained and licensed transaction coordinator that knows in and out the real estate industry, we are doing exactly what you just said. We are looking forward and making things that you might have missed, and you need to keep this in mind, and that's going to pay 10x, 20x, 50x than some cheaper by the hour person that is working in the legal industry one day, the chiropractic industry the next, and real estate the next. Having someone in the industry trained and licensed is kind of a game changer, I would suspect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a big difference between really just following your tasks and making sure that you get to compliance, and then also providing this extra care about the transaction. We really get involved. We really watch the steps. We take initiative depending on what we see from who's involved. So we really dive deep into the transaction, and each one we take special care of.
So what are the typical things that you are taking off the plate of a real estate agent so that they can repurpose their time to do the highest and best use of things that they need to do, like meeting with their buyers and sellers and structuring deals? What are some of those minutia that you are typically doing that really, when the agent goes, oh yes, that just feels so good that you're doing that. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of the big time saving space comes with the communication and the scheduling, as well as getting signatures and disclosures and amendments done in a timely manner. And we have an in-house design system that really helps us stay consistent in that place, so we can grow with agents and still be able to take reminders and documentations and getting signatures done, making sure we have everything in on time, collecting HOA information, scheduling inspections and scheduling closings and walkthroughs, and really just monitoring the whole conversation and facilitating any requests that come in. If the client has a question maybe about title, we can help facilitate that communication between them so that we don't miss a beat.
And I would suspect that by doing all of that, some of those things you would say to a real estate agent and they would go, yeah, I do all that. But do you really? And do you really do it consistently? And if you are doing it, is it like just trying to blast through checking off the items as opposed to how you're describing it? You become like the arm of the agent and you become the communication, mechanism. And so doesn't that increase their, perception to their clients, increase satisfaction, which then sometimes the best marketing is a job well done. And when that client can go to the closing table going, thank you so much for your team keeping me up to date and answering all my questions. And they just sit there and smile.
Right. Yeah. I like to say that, we're a good, since time is such a big asset, you really get your return on investment working with us and other qualified transaction coordinators for sure, but we increase because we are that arm of the agent. We increase their client satisfaction. We increase the value of their service. They're bringing something else new to the table. And especially when we get to the point where people are talking about possibly buyers maybe having to pay for their agent services, this would be a good thing to just advertise for yourself, is that you have this extra support and you can make their experience so much more seamless and timely, and decrease the amount of time and stress that the clients have to spend during the transaction process. And we're going to help them know what to expect, and we'll be there available to them all along the way, while the agent can also be the face of the transaction and be there for the more personal stuff that the buyers and sellers may be needing to deal with, or negotiations and things like that that really need the agent's talents.
I think very few agents, at least in my experience in my home buying and selling, they don't enjoy that communication, that minutia of taking care of things like what you guys do. They like staging the home, or they like the negotiations and that type of thing. But
right,
really serving that client properly is, okay, yeah, you got us, a good price on it, or whatever that agent did well for them. But there's sometimes some gaps, or there's blinders that they miss, and then people are feeling, I don't know what we're doing next. So I love how you guys are filling that gap.
Yeah, we want to, the system that we have in place is really to make sure that we can always be a valuable resource, regardless of how many agents we are serving or how much our agents grow. We're always able to provide that and be able to be that quality, that value that they wanted us to be.
Hey, Jessica, so if you are able to do all of these things and take the load off the plate of the agent so that they can now go out and meet more prospects and network with people and get more business, it almost pays for your service, pays for itself. But I would suspect that you want to also work with larger teams, and maybe sometimes those larger teams, you would have the team leader go, oh, hey, we already do in-house transaction coordination, so we're good to go. Is that in their best interest, or what do you say when they come up with that?
So with in-house transaction coordinators, we're starting to see a little bit of a shift there, as the in-house are definitely working for the brokerage, and they have a lot of responsibilities around just being employee of the brokerage. So their direct tasks that they have with the agent are more just making sure that they have everything compliant and on time. And that can, of course, be different depending on the brokerages. This is just mostly from my experience and talking with other in-house TCs. With an independent TC like me and my team members, we work directly with the agent and with their needs and with their brand. And so we can focus on what that agent needs individually as well, which helps. It really helps a lot for them to grow in whatever way that they want to. And since we do a per transaction fee, it helps them not have to worry about having like a full-time TC. We have a couple brokerages actually that have their agents use us exclusively because they know that that's a great incentive for their agents is to use transaction coordinators like us instead of having an in-house transaction coordinator that has to provide multiple, they have to wear multiple hats basically for different people. So.
For sure. Well, I tell you, this is something that a lot of times people would look at like a line item expense, but maybe the mindset shift should be that this is an investment to take time off of your plate and take the worry that I'm not catching all the deadlines that could impact my brand negatively. And if I now have freed up time and happier customers, I'm actually bringing in more business and getting better referrals. So it really turns into being that wise investment. So I just think that what you're doing is spectacular and very well needed. And if someone is listening to this thinking maybe they should check out your services, what is the best way they can learn more and then also connect with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the best way to contact me is through our website, which is TCCREATED.com, or our Instagram page at TCCREATED. And you can actually schedule a Kickstart call with me, which is free. We would learn a little bit about your business and your goals and go over what we do and how we can help with those goals. And you can find more information about what we do on both of those sites as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Jessica. It was a real pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Colorado Real Estate Leaders Podcast, brought to you by Trailstone Insurance Group. To learn more about the topics mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.coloradorealestateleaders.com.